Hi there, my name's Keegan Neave of Neave Engineering, and this is my entry for PiWars 2021, Son of Prime. This is based heavily on McFeagle Prime from last year, which in itself is based very, very heavily on Johnny 5 from Short Circuit, a film which inspired me to get into robotics. And basically this is a completely rebuilt robot. So the only bits that have been reused are the hand servo mounts and the sprockets, the drive wheels. Basically everything else was designed again from scratch because I designed the previous one incredibly naively, and there was a lot of scope for improvement. So the points of actuation, we'll talk about the technical aspects first. For one thing, his head is fully articulated, it's got pan and tilt, but more importantly, the arms. So these are both 7 degrees of freedom, which are the same number of degrees of freedom we have in the human arm, so the same number of joints. Don't have the same limits because that's quite tricky to do with cheap servos. We also have the pincers at the front, which are quite happily able to, if you put it into the right mode, hold things such as the cubes, and also lacrosse sticks, because why wouldn't a robot need a lacrosse stick? Come on. The right servo in his hand is sadly damaged, so it doesn't move as quickly. Come on. Anyway, the lacrosse stick worked really quite nicely for flinging the Nerf rival balls for Feed the Fish. I'll put a little clip of that in action here. I managed to get 15 in a row, which is really annoying because I wasn't actually able to get the challenge run done and working and from the video, but I'll show the video of that. So that's the arms, that is the points of actuation. The few things I'd like to add in the future is actuation for the eyebrows using the tiny servos I've got for it. There's already the mounts in there available, but I just didn't have time to wire it up. And also the torso, so we can actually lift and do that, and yeah, just generally move his body up and down for better viewing or better reach. The other big innovation in this robot is that it actually has 2 Raspberry Pis this time around. So last year it had just the Stereo Pi version 1 up in his head with the red board mounted on it. All of the servos and the motors and the power was hooked up through into the back of his head, which made it very difficult to move around. This time around I've got the Stereo Pi up top, running a Compute Module 4. This is the Stereo Pi version 2 board, and the red board is actually now mounted attached to a Raspberry Pi Zero in his caboose. So again, this is another design feature from Johnny 5. His has this full tilt mechanism, but I need to add the caster wheel at the back just to finish the look off. So the big benefit is not only the ease of wiring, it's a lot tidier behind there than the previous one. It also means that there's a disconnect between, well, disconnect's the wrong word, but it means that the Stereo Pi in his head can do all of the heavy lifting, and the Pi Zero can just do motor control, servo control for the head and for the eyebrows. There's an expander board on his back for the rest of the servos, because he's got another 16 in his arms, and yeah, it's just that separation of control just kind of adds a bit of flexibility. The Stereo Pi isn't really utilized to its advantage at the minute. The thing I've had a lot of luck with is actually streaming the stereo cameras with incredibly low latency to a mobile phone in a Google Cardboard headset. I was actually able to quite happily run around the house with in the robot. The odd thing was when I turned and saw myself in a mirror, and it wasn't me, it was the robot. That was just quite a weird moment. But yeah, so that's something I'd like to hook up and have working properly for future events. I've been able to capture and generate disparity maps, so rudimentary depth maps using the eyes, but just not to the point where it's actually actionable knowledge using the rest of the system. So sadly I wasn't able to get the robot stable and functional enough for the challenges in time for the deadline. I've just having lots and lots of problems with the controller for some reason. It just isn't playing ball when I actually want to run the challenges. The motors have been vastly upgraded, so they're a lot quicker as well. I'll put a little video of that in there. I had that running around early this morning. And yeah, so the future plans are to actually get it working. There's a couple more servos I'd like to add in. So I've got one underneath here. Sorry, servos, sensors. I've got a IMU on the underside of his head, and I've got a mount for another one in the chassis. So the idea is the robot will be able to know where it's pointing from the chassis perspective, and if the head is pointing in a different direction, it'll be able to use the two to actually generate these 3D maps a lot more consistently. I've also got a bunch of time of flight sensors that I'll be able to add around the base of the robot just to give better situational awareness where he's not able to look, basically. So this is my entry for PiWars 2021. And yeah, if you stay tuned to my channel, you'll be able to see me actually get this working, because I'm going to finish all of these challenges, just sadly not in time for the event. So thank you for your time, and enjoy the rest of the day. Bye.